Alrighty, it's 11:11 on the East Coast. I'm George Hudson. Got my guy Robbie with me. We got a special guest today, Kurt Helms. We got a great episode. Make it happen in 2023. If you're tuning in live with us, go ahead and drop a flex emoji in the comment section. Tell us where you're tuning in from. Have any questions, any topics you'd like us to hear? Go ahead and throw a comment in there. Robbie, how you doing this morning?
George, I'm doing great, man. I feel awesome. I think this is a wonderful day. Any day that you're up and you're able to talk, I don't care if you have a little bit of hurt, a little bit of pain in your body. The fact that you're alive, man, hey, that's what it's all about. We're here to make a difference. We're not here to just exhaust the oxygen, man, and leave a humongous carbon footprint without making any change in somebody's life. We're here to make a change, make a difference, man. So I'm excited all about that. And I'm super excited about this topic today. This topic is called Make It Happen, right? Make pain your friend. Curtis, you probably have heard me talk about that before often. You got to learn how to make pain our friend. And that means a lot of different things. And we're going to talk about some of that as we talk about making it happen. You know, in other words, when we get into this place of making it happen, there's an avenue of our lives that we've got to learn how to get to where you make your complaints your enemy. Start seeing your complaints as your enemy. Start seeing your I can't as an enemy to your I wills and I ams. You have to embrace your negative talk with such a disdain. You yell out, you shout out to it, shut up. Why? Because you got to learn how to make some things happen. And then it'll help you when you start grinding this way. It'll help you find and identify what that actual grind is in your life and for your life. So making it happen starts here. Stop making excuses to yourself and others about what you said you could do and would do and did less and didn't even acknowledge that you didn't even honor your word. Making it happen is understanding that the worst thing that you can think is that I can't. The worst thing that you can feel is I'm not going to make it. The worst thing that you can deal with is the torment of remembering what you didn't do, how often you didn't get it done, and then the anguish that you're reminded about this attitude that you simply didn't make it happen. And it starts to pervade, it starts to follow, it starts to consume, it starts to mess your life up. When all you really have to do is man up, rise up. It's not much about all the plans because you got the plans, you already know that. But until you put the action to it, until you start to make it actually work, until you start to feel the pain of getting up at 4:45 a.m. when your brain says, give me 15 more, and you know it's going to turn into another hour down the line and you won't get it done. Man, you got to get to that place where at 4:45, if that's the time you're going to rise and grind, then you're going to get up with this nevertheless in your mindset. This nevertheless in your mindset to make it happen means this: not mine will, but thy will be done. That's in the moment. That's the type of resolve you got to create for yourself. Is living in the 369, Jack. I'll talk on that a little bit later. I get my boy George to talk about it too. But it's living in that 369 where you write down your goals and your plans and your strategies and you start to manifest those things. 3 times when you wake up, write them down. 6 times at noonday, 9 times, rewriting your manifesto so change can come in your life, and then listening to it summon you to action so that you can make it happen. Summoning you to action at 1 a.m. in the morning when you're trying to sleep, but it's already starting to work on the inside of you, changing your DNA so that you can make some things happen. And you get up and you start writing. 2:30 in the morning, you start writing. You're listening. You're in agreement with it. And then you're laying down back into it and you're visualizing these things coming to pass. It's feeling it. It's letting your dreams command into reality. And it's doing the stuff first in the visualization compartment and then in the actualization department when you command your flesh and you command the activities of your mind and the resourcefulness of your body so that manifestation can in fact come. Drop in the mic for a second. Somebody chime in.
Yeah, Robbie, I think one of the things that I key on what you were saying there is taking action, and then the longer you don't take action on the things that you say are important to you, the more you die on the inside. The more you blame others, the more you know you start to make excuses, and then you just I don't know about you, but when I start to do that, I just can't live with my mental state in that capacity. Like I have to reevaluate. I'm mad for a reason. I have to sit down like I have to work through this obstacle and what does it look like for me to be satisfied in my daily action to move towards my goals every single day. and it's a matter of achievement. It's a matter of having that, sense of feeling that you're doing what your passions are leading you to. You're fulfilling your, seizing the day, so to speak, utilizing it. I believe it's the talents. Like the biblical story is like, you know, the guy who went and buried his was scorned. You don't bury your talent, you use what you have to make the most of it. So the
100%.
idea that I'm just going to wait for the right time, the stars are going to align, the ducks are going to get in a row, that's never going to happen. There's always going
Never
to be
gonna
a
happen.
reason to not do it, right? Sure, the timing is important in things, but like at the end of the day, you just have to make it happen. And I think that's,
Timing is now.
yeah, the
Timing is already
time
now.
is now, and then the stars will align when you decide to make it happen. It's
Man, you got to start roasting that concept of defeat. You got to roast that thing, man. You got to roast excuses. You got to roast weakness. When weakness comes in, it's like an attack on you, man. And you got to ferociously get after that thing and demand that kind of mindset, that kind of thinking, that it comes down. You command that it comes down, and you command that it comes down with activity, with first facing it, with activity, and then going ahead and doing something that it's telling you not to do, but it's the very thing you need to be getting done. It's getting after it, man. Making it happen is about doing the stuff. And when you start doing the stuff, then you start getting the rewards. Curtis,
Well,
preach the
that
mic.
man, well, that's a great, when we're the key point here is when you're uncomfortable, you don't want to do something. And so you've got to embrace that pain. Like you said earlier, you've got to be able to embrace that pain so that you know you can get past it. You can't just ignore it, because anything that you want to do that is going to give you fulfillment, it takes effort, and effort, you've got to get through some level of pain and discomfort. I mean, that's just change. That's what change is. Change is something that makes you feel uncomfortable. And so you've got to embrace that to get to that step. And then I love what you guys are saying about the mindset of overcoming that pain and overcoming that negative thought process that allows you to just lay in bed, or allows you to say, hey, I'll do that tomorrow. You've got to let yourself know that that's just not where your mindset needs to be.
Man, so this is just so you guys know, Curtis right here just finished speaking. That's my brother from another mother. And Curtis was one of my martial arts students years ago, right? And we know what it means to make pain your friend, right? And to embrace the pain. It's not an enemy, man. It's that part of you that's letting you know you need to scorch this weakness that's on the inside of you. It's letting you know that every excuse that I've made is the very thing that's kept me from my destiny. It's kept me from actualizing. It's kept me from being the person that I can be, experiencing the dream I can experience, causing my dreams not to become realities. It's stopping me from doing me. And so when you embrace it, man, you embrace the pain. When you start staring down the fact that I do need to make it happen, it's incumbent upon me now. I'm running out of time, and time is not something that I can get back. Once I burn this time, that time is wasted. I can never get that commodity back. It's never going to come back to me. I've got to keep pace with what I want to make happen. I've got to keep pace with my dream, right, Damon? I've got to keep Mr. Carpool, Dick. I got to keep pace with what I need to get done. I got to be able to do and accomplish me, because when it's all said and done, I got to take my luggage back to the master. Hopefully I won't have any luggage to take back to him. And I don't want to take back to him, I wish I had or I should have done. I don't want to die and think about all the things I didn't do. I don't want to die and on my bed still tell my children, now I don't want you to be like me and don't do this and don't do that. I want my children to look at me and say, no, daddy's leaving us a legacy. He got things done. So check this out. I want to drop this nasty one on you. This is real vicious right here. Make It Happen is a 40-pound weight vest. It's a 10-pound waist vest. It's 20 pounds of ankle weights on each leg. It's a 10-pound wrist weight with 5 pounds hand weights on your hands. It's doing every kata that you know that you've been taught, and you working it all through, and you working all the way up to your second degree patterns, and you working back down. And because of some of the patterns, you got double kicks, you got triple kicks, and you quadruple kicking, because when you get back to that second degree, now you got to double all the kicks, double all the punches, double all the uppercuts, double all the blocks. You got to double it all up, and you get into what's called excruciating pain. And it feels like it's burning, almost feels like it's tearing. But that burn that feels like fire, it's killing all the weakness that's on the inside of you. It's when you're in that spot, when you're in that vein, you realize that there's an opponent that's greater than you. There's an opponent that's faster than you. There's an opponent that's more adept than you'll ever be. That opponent happens to be you. It's called weakness. It shows you every telegraph move that you make, every telegraph weak thought that comes up in your mind. You got to get past that, because if you can't beat you, if you can't outwork yourself, if you can't push through accurately with accurate punches, accurate uppercuts, accurate movements, so that you're intact and you're blocking when you need to block, you're shifting and weaving, not back, right, Curtis, but weaving into it, so you can deliver that hot blow, boom, so you can stop the activity of the foolishness. Man, if you don't push through with accuracy and with perfection, perfecting your breathing techniques, eliminating erroneous thought processes, you'll never get to that place where you realize that every drop of sweat, every tear is an applause. It's a voice that keeps saying to you, you got this. You finishing right now. Then after you finished all your kata and you take off the 20 pounds off your ankles and you drop the 10 off of your wrist, then you go out and you start doing the pull-ups and you do your 25 set of pull-ups. And then you drop down on the ground and you're doing your sit-ups and your knee-ups and your scissors, and you're alternating for 100. Then you're doing that for 4 sets. It's grueling. Then the speed drills. You go inside the dojo and you drop all the weights off and you're hitting the bags, right, Curtis? 40, 60, 80, 100, 110-pound bags. And you're assaulting those bags like they did something to your mama, or they did something to your sister, or they did something to your wife, and you're punishing them. You're trying to rip the very fabric off those bags. And then after that, then the wrecking crew comes in. And you training with the wrecking crew from 1 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's full combat, shirts off, no ghoulie shots, no neck blows. You full combat. One arm tied behind your back, then both arms tied behind your back. And you fight an opponent in front of you. And then you're doing multiple opponent drills. This is what you got to do. Find your own make it happen. This was my make it happen. I had to get used to it. I had to fill myself up with such an opponent, myself, and realize that if I didn't go against this opponent, if I couldn't beat him with one hand and I couldn't beat him with no hands, then I didn't deserve to have what I had. And so I learned how to strike. And I learned how to make my body a weapon. But my body couldn't become a weapon until my mind became a weapon. And the weapon was, I have to master me. I have to master my weakness. I have to master my quit. I have to master my give up. I have to master my give in. I got to let this stuff come to be nothing more than a memory and a testimony, because it's time to make it happen. Creep to the mic, George.
I was sitting there, I was speaking with a guy this week, and he was telling me his story. And then he was talking about how he was so passionate about wanting to help people. His sister was a public speaker, a motivational speaker. And then he told me his left leg was fully amputated and he was going to have a prosthetic. And then I'm just like, man, I hear this guy talk, and most people just blame their situation, blame what's going on, and you hear someone like that speak, and it makes your problem seem very small. And you're like, why am I not taking action? Why am I held back? Right? This dude has no left leg. What's holding me back? Right? And then he said, yeah, his sister is an amputee, or has an amputee, like artificial leg too, or a leg or arm or something. And then like her mission and goal was to like help other people that face the same situation. I think it was some genetic thing that their family has that, ultimately led to their condition or needing the loss of limb. But you hear people like that speak and you're like, man, what is my problem? Right? Like my problems are so little compared to someone like that, and they're making it happen. Right? So what's my excuse? There is none. So it's just a matter of deciding what you want, and then overcoming the obstacles to get there. And I always hear one of my favorite motivational guys. He says this phrase that says, money loves speed, results love speed. Like, if you have an idea at 9 a.m., how can you be making money using that by noon or by 3 p.m.? And when you have that approach, like, yeah, you might not be making money with it that day, but it creates this urgency that's like, I'm going to make it happen. Like, how do we actually do this? It's not just a thought. I'm not just talking. Like, talk is cheap. How do we actually put the pen on paper, and how does it put dollars in my account? Like, if you have ideas, you have passion, you have growth, like, but it's not providing or yielding any results, like, that's a seed that doesn't bloom, right? That's a crop that doesn't yield. That, in my opinion, if you're not genuinely putting your passions into helping people, sometimes it doesn't always make sense for it to be like a dollar measurement. But if you're just not utilizing all the gifts that you have in perfecting your craft and making your passions known, and helping the world or your community or whatever's around you, then I believe that's an issue. And if you're like me, you want to learn, you want to grow, you want to achieve higher levels of thought, higher levels of action, higher levels of results in life, you have to like lean into that and move over the obstacles and make it happen.
George, you brought up a good term there, urgency. And that's one of the things that in any type of goal setting and breaking through something, you've got to have that some sense of urgency. And I know I've read a lot of books with, different, billionaires and all these successful people. And one of the things that they do kind of across the board is they start the day, they get up early when it's uncomfortable. Everybody else is sleeping because they're like, man, I got to at least get to 7 or 6:30. And those guys are waking up at 4:30. Sometimes I've heard crazy stuff, 3:30. But the thing is that they're setting the tone, and they're able to get up in the morning because they have a sense of urgency. And I think that's a key to breaking through that pain, is to grab that sense of urgency to make those accomplishments.
And that's all hot, man. So what's your limitation today? Everybody that's out here in Savage Will land, Savage Will 1111 is all about like shockwave, right? It's like a tsunami. Have you ever watched a tsunami? It kind of draws back first, right? It pulls back all the water. It kind of like bubbles everything up, and then it comes in relentlessly, right? It's a power, it's a force, and nothing can absolutely stop it. What I like about the tsunami, it is that power, it is that force, and it clears everything out of its path. It clears everything out of its path. So everything that it decides that does not need to be there, it clears it completely out. And when I relate that in my own brainwave of trying to, understand urgency, that means I have to attack everything about me that limits me. I've got to do the things that are uncomfortable, but not that are damaging, but they're uncomfortable. Just because something's uncomfortable doesn't mean there's something wrong with it. It means that that's a place that you need to deal with and you need to get comfortable with, right? So you got to be able to master you. You got to be able to overcome your own limits. You got to invade the boundaries of your weaknesses, the weaknesses that you've made, the excuses that you've honored all your lifetime, that you've given credence to, that you've given your will to, that you've given your desires to. You've got to get past that. And you've got to get to a place where you honor your dreams and your revelations, and you honor the fact that you got to get after this thing, and you got to get after it now. You've got to keep in pace with your now, as one speaker says, because you got to keep pace with what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. That's about that urgency piece, because you're running out of time and you actually have made enough excuses for a lifetime, so you don't need to give another one another day or even another minute. You've got to become dangerous, as one man said. He said you got to become like a monster. You got to devour your weakness as they emerge. And you've got to understand that this is a signal, man. Every time a weakness pops up, every time an excuse invades, every time you think about not doing something and it starts to emerge, that's actually a signal. It's growth time. It's time for you to pick up. It's time for you to set the pace. It's time for you to let go of something, and it's time for you to let's go into something, because otherwise it's going to be too late, because you won't make it happen. See, one moment of thinking about not doing it, You just lost that opportunity, and everything that's inside of that opportunity, all the energy, all the desire, all the notes, all the good stuff that you need to be successful is in that moment. So when you refuse that moment, you lost all the intensity, you lost all the knowledge, you lost all the goodies and all the nuggets that you need to make that successful. It's gone. Now you have to imagine into. Now you've got to pick up another book and read. But the universe, the plans of God, is all in your moment. It's all in the now. That's what living in the now is all about. When you feel your now, take your now, because everything is in that moment. Every ingredient, that crumb, everything that's in that loaf is in the crumb of your now. You've got to be able to take that and trust the moment and trust your journey, because when you do that, when you accept your now, then everything opens up, and you start doing it. You start writing it down. You start living it. You start smelling it, and then you start locking in neural linguistic programming. You start remembering that code. You lock it in. Look up to the left, put the finger tap, put in showtime, call it out, call it what you want to call it, but you remember it, and you keep bringing it back until you come to another moment called now. You allow yourself to pick up the pace and to keep the pace. You allow yourself to let go so you can let's go. Mm-hmm. So you can make things happen. It's a choice, guys. This is something that we will. This is something that we have got to baptize ourselves in the reality of. When the next moment invades and it says, do this, do that, I got to take it right then and there. I can't wait. I can't allow for this moment to pass. It's not going to come back. It's not going to have the same ferocity. It's not going to have the same clarity that it's presenting you with at the now. That's why when these brothers were dropping to the mic about urgency, you got to move in the urgent. You got to become so dangerous to kill your excuses that when the urgent hits, when the new thought drops, you got to take it and you got to baptize in it and you got to run with it, man, because this is how it happens. This is where you start to tread. And this is where you start to stand. This is where you begin to walk, jog, and run, and then sit down. Hallelujah. After everything started to mold into your life, so you're ready for the next level, the next dimension, so you can move on into the next part of the best version of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. A couple key takeaways would be just like pushing past that voice that says no. Like in my mind, that's our mission here, is to like follow that little sound in the back of your voice. Like it'd be so cool if I accomplished this, or I would enjoy this so much more than what I'm doing now. And we're all in that place in some capacity, and we all have goals to work towards that like newer version of ourselves. So in my mind, I don't want to live without opening that door of saying, I followed my passion. I decided, that wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. What now? What next? Like, how can I reach my goals through this door? And it's just, you got to keep opening doors. And so many people are just kind of stuck where they're at, because I was talking about it with a couple of friends yesterday, but once you place some sort of financial restriction on people, and then feel like they get stuck, like, maybe they have an unplanned child, or somebody gets in a wreck, or a family member, like, they have to support, they take on an additional financial burden, and then they feel like they just get stuck, and they're in this loop of, I don't like my job, but I need it to pay, and then feeling exhausted and letting that be an excuse for why they stopped pursuing their goal, right? Because everyone, you hear stories about everyone's got time to learn a new skill. Everyone's got to learn the new skill that they desire, to make the priorities happen. Everyone's got time to do that. So it's just like, what are you letting become an excuse that seems like an unmovable obstacle, but you just keep nailing it down in your path?
George, learning that new skill. One of the things that Robbie just given an example of us doing the martial arts, but I think if somebody just, we're saying all this good stuff, but sometimes somebody might be looking at us and going, well, how? Well, one of the ways that I found for me, and I think Robbie would agree, is you find something that you can do and that you enjoy, and then you set goals within that, and then you build on that, and then that gives your mind and inside of you a template on what it is to accomplish some of those goals. So Robbie and I are going to be setting up and doing our training with Choi Kwon and doing our martial arts training. And the whole point of that one is to obviously get our health right. But the other part of it is to just reiterate in our brain exactly what we need to do to accomplish these things in other parts of our life. It's not about the physical training, punching and kicking. That helps us, but there's a vehicle that helps us get to other parts of our life where we want to show and give our brain the wiring that we can overcome, we can accomplish, and we can attack things with urgency. And so I think everybody should find their own vehicle for that. And I think that will really help.
That's hot right there, Curtis. The template. I like the idea of the template for perfect, passionate practice, making perfect. And it comes from time, that moment in time where you need to obey that moment. I think it's Sir Isaac Newton, right, with the gravity study, and what he did, and even with some of these other cats that went into this scientific realm and started to show us the universe and interplanetary this, that, or the other. Man, what they did, they stopped and they embraced and found themselves in the moment. What's up, Carissa? They found, Jacqueline, what's happening? They found themselves in a moment and they stopped in that moment and they embraced in that moment and they called it theirs. They called it mine. And it created for them a synergy. How did Grandmaster Choi say? Symbiotic movement, right? No wasted movement, no wasted thought. Everything is sequential and it's symbiotic. Everything's flowing correctly like it needs to, so that when you deliver that impact, it's explosive and it's that connecting power that just stops your opponent. So they did that with their thought processes. And that's what the template is. You stop and you shock whatever it is that can try to invade when you get that fresh thought. When you get that template, if that template is going to the gym and you need a personal trainer to push you, if that template is going for a walk every single day, and during that time that you're walking, whatever your template happens to be, like it is, like Curtis just said, our new template refreshing this new year, our new template is we've already found tremendous success doing martial art training. We're going back to something we found success in, but it opened up a door. It opened up a window of understanding. This dude right here is a vice president of a fitness company, man. And he goes around and he's bringing stuff to major universities in the southern part, southeastern part of the United States of America, because of stuff that he found when he wasn't doing that, when he was doing more mechanical stuff and he was just working on putting sound systems inside of cars. But he found an aspect of himself and grew into this vice president who's now training people all over the country or on the East Coast to become successful businessmen. Now it's time to amp up and go to the next level. And so the next level is crying out to him, not only to be a better model as a family man, be a better model as a businessman, be a better model as a man of God, be a better man, because there's a whole different world that's waiting for him from an entrepreneur, from a multi-million-dollar standpoint that he's yet to walk into, that it's time to get into. And that's what this is all about. Find your template. Find your urgency, find your now, find the thing that you're passionate about and pursue it. After you pursue it, once you've lived it once you've tasted it, oh, taste and see that this Lord here is good. Once you've tasted it, teach it. And because when you teach it, now it's a reminder. And now that reminder gets embedded. It gets locked into your groove. And if you can teach something and you can remind yourself through that teaching, then when your weaknesses try to transition into and try to invade, you already know what the cure to it is. You already explode into that thing and you get after it again and again and again. You leave a mental template, a legacy in your heart. You leave a legacy in your mind. You leave a legacy in your consciousness. You leave a legacy in your physical body, because when this thing attacks, you don't get this, man. You got to check this out. When you're making it happen and your doubt that you've served for so long pops up, it gets into your flesh. It gets into your emotion. It gets into your intelligence. It gets into everything that makes you you. And you got to crush this thing with everything that is really you. See, what it's doing is blindsiding you, right? Right? We used to do multiple opponent drills. Right, Curtis? Remember the multiple opponent drills?
Yep.
If you didn't know how to line your opponent up, first they're all around you, 3, 4 different opponents all around you. Man, you got to line them jokers up so they can only strike one at a time. Because if all of them are striking you at the same time, you got a problem until you can line them jokers up. And then when you can line them up, they can only strike one at a time. When I line up the stroke and the enemy that's trying to stop me from my destiny, I crush it. Then I look for the next one to crush, and the next one to crush, and the next one to crush. That's my mindset. You can say, wait a minute, you're a preacher of the gospel, and you don't think Jesus had a ferociousness about how he attacked the liars, the brood of vipers, whitewashed sepulchres is what he called all those know-it-alls that thought they knew, that was trying to attack him, helping liberate the mindset of all the people of that day. He attacked them head on. He dealt with it head on. We got examples of that everywhere. You got to open up your eyes and see. If you listen to the billionaire, if you listen to the multimillionaire, what are they talking about doing? Attacking the madness that's crippling your emotion, that's crippling your intellect, that's crippling your breathing, which affects how you manage stress, which is crippling what you do with your physical body. So now you put in more time than you actually need to put in to the work that you're doing because you're not confident with the time that you're putting. I'm trying to tell you something, because as soon as you get a hold to what you're passionate about, you get a hold to what the mental and the emotional discipline is and the physical activity that's necessary to get you there, then you set up pieces to your puzzle and they all start to line up. And when you start doing that piece, I'm up at 4:30, I'm up at 4:45, I'm up at 4 o'clock. If it demands that I get up at 1 o'clock, if it demands that I get up at 2:30 in the morning, get up and go ahead and pay the man. Curtis, you heard those words before. Pay the man. 2:30 this morning, my wife's like, what's wrong? I said, I'm writing. She said, okay. 1 o'clock the other morning, she said, what's going on? I said, I'm writing. Then I laid back down. I laid back into the activity, visualizing. 2:30 came. She said, you okay? I said, I'm great. I'm writing it down. I'm being changed. I'm being transformed. This is the cost of my greatness. This sleep right here, this thing can get in my way. I'm going to get enough sleep. I'm going to get enough rest. But right now, I'm not going to miss my moment. I got to write this down. And then I got to lay back into it and allow it to manifest. Time is about up. You got to make it happen, baby. You got to make it happen. Don't make another excuse. In 2023, the year for prosperity, for a disproportionately greater change and increase for your life, for those that choose in this envelope of accepting greatness or allowing tremendous defeat, you're going to see who that is. Develop a will, not mine, but thine be done. The bigger than you. Embrace it. I'm going after it. Ascend to that dimension, that strata, that vibration of that I can. Now I know I can, so I will. Now I know I will, so I am. I am what I'm getting ready to become. I am it already because I can see it. Get your I am, your believer built up, Jack, because 2023, we're going to see who really I am. Because those of you that I am, because you I will, because you knew you could, you're going to see the manifestation of it. Ascend. There you go, Carissa. Ascend. It's the cost of greatness. It don't come easy. It doesn't come to the lazy. It doesn't come to those who want to live in comfort. It doesn't come to those who want to binge out on wasting time and wasting conversations with the same old type of people that you brought into your life to commiserate with so you can't be great, and they can allow you to make the excuses for not taking that journey and that next step to be that make it happen person. Be that make it happen person and get yours, man. Hey, imagine this. Going back to your creator and you didn't. Then what would you say? That's your baggage. That's your luggage. That's your excuses. What can you say when you've been given such a great opportunity and daily nuggets open up for you to go ahead and embrace the moment? and get your stuff so you can be the best version of you. It's time. Make it happen. George, creep to the mic. Curtis, creep to the mic, baby. Let's wrap it.
I love it. Curtis, he mentioned something about having like practical steps. It's like, how do I do this? And I think one of the best visualization things I've heard recently is David Goggins. He talks about, because he's on the Joe Rogan podcast. He's running all these marathons. His feet are breaking, his knees are breaking. He's running until he's got, issues with his bowels. And you're like, well, how do you get to this point? Right. And it's just like, and he can't move, and he's just,
Yeah.
it's kind of nasty, but like, you're like, how does that human function? Like, what is going on between his ears, and then he's like, one of the things he mentioned was pretending as if everyone in your life that you've ever looked up to is watching you at every single moment. And then if you were to write your life as a movie, what would you do differently? Like, and then just do it. Like, just take gradual steps. Maybe it's not waking up at 2:30 in the morning, but if you're getting up at 9, get up at 7, right? Like, go to bed earlier. How, and then learn how to do that. Like, if I'm super tired at 7 in the morning, like, how do people actually get up and function at a high level at this time? Like, become a student. Like, every decision is an opportunity to move you towards your goals or to keep you in this like wandering wasteland of, having the same conversations, being with the same friends, doing the same things, binging the same shows and just kind of go like drifting through life,
Waste of
right?
time.
Every decision you make, every moment, you gotta analyze it. And yes, that does get exhausting, but you do it more and more and more and more. And then one day you look up, you're getting up at 4:30, you have some of the results that you were waiting your entire life to do, and it happens quicker than you think. But if you don't take steps today, it never does happen.
No,
So
and you brought up a great point there, accountability and visualizing, all the people that that look to you, that want the best for you. That helps you from a mental state. But just in exercise and fitness, it's a pretty well known thing. You find a partner, and that's an accountability partner. And even in this process, I think that would help. As people take those steps to making it happen, is find you somebody, do the learning, like you just said, make this an educational thing, figure out what your vehicle is, what your template is, and get you an accountability partner, so you can take those steps to making it happen.
Carissa Span, drop us a nugget. Dolores, drop us a nugget. Damon, drop us a nugget. Everybody that's on Facebook, give us a quick nugget real quick so we can read this off. Hey, listen, guys, this is what it's all about. Savage Will 1111. That's the interruption, man. So we can unpack, unwind, unhinge, untether, so we can get to our best self, right? So we are that accountability partner with you, right? When you chime into this, you should be writing down some of those things that get released on the inside of you. You should be writing down that nugget that might come from any one of us speaking at any one time. Every time a new thought pops in, you should be writing that thing down so you can employ it in you, so you can get the result, the transformation that you're looking for. And understand, it's going to take a moment. It's going to take time, because you're already tracked. You already hotwired yourself with disbelief and with doubts, with worries and the wrong kind of breathing processes. But once you get tracked, man, and once you say, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do, and you make up in your mind, and you got your accountability and you got your template, and you know what that mantra is going to be, at that point, man, then you set it to time and you start doing it and you start making it repetitive. And then you'll start to see the results. Krista says our greatest investment is investing in ourselves. Never stop growing. That's 100% money right there. And that's our part. That's our part and parcel of hit genius. And so, guys, it's in every one of us. Anything that isn't growing is dead. Good nugget, Carissa. I love that. So, guys, people know, it's in you. What do you want? In 2023, hey, George, you said this. What is it, on January the 17th? Everybody has, how does that thing go? They stop their New Year's resolution, or it's annual.
It's like National Give Up Day. Basically.
National Give Up Day. I mean, people start their resolutions out right after Christmas. and they're already giving up on the 17th of January, that's madness, right? That means the process is not right. The template is not in proper play. And so this is what this is all about. So you can get there. You know, we may not know exactly what you want to do. However, we know this. If you unpack and if you unwind and you get savage in your will, savage, I'm not going to let anything stop me. I'm going to do this. I got this. I'm going to listen to this podcast. I'm going to listen to that podcast. I'm going to read this thing until it starts to become me. And it becomes my habit and my will and my desire. I've got to get there. And it's done with an urgency. Man, until you get that resolve, you just looking out, man, and you peeping in the window. You're peeping Tom, Jack. You're peeping Tom at your own destiny. That's messed up. You understand? That right there. There's something wrong with that. You know, just like a peeping Tom looking in somebody's window. There's something wrong with that. You understand? You got to look into your destiny. And you've got to embrace that thing. And when it looks like it's far greater than you can be, that's exactly what you need to be looking at. And you got to keep going. Hey, Savage Will, man. Hey, we dropped 40 minutes and some change today. We were supposed to do 11:11. And so we're grateful that you've been here with us this whole time, man. I got my man George right here. George is a good dude, man. Got a good mind. You know what I mean? And I got my man Curtis. This is my brother from another mother, man. Oh, man, I love this dude, man. I dig these guys right here. And we got other people that's going to be coming in. Carissa dropped some crazy madness on us because she's living out her destiny, right, in the housing market, in that space that's been carved out, that she's carved out to operate in. She's got a podcast, Jack, and you need to catch that out. Hey, George. Carissa says, hey, George. And so, look, man, we're going to have other people on the show. Some of you might be on the show. All you got to do is drop us a line and say, I dig this, and this is what I want to talk about. I like to see this happen. Hey, Carissa's saying, hey, Curtis. So look at guys, this thing is real. It's live. We love you guys, man, and we want to see you. Savage Will, 11:11, disrupting, unpacking, untethering, moving to that next vibration, moving to that next level, then into that next dimension where the vibration and the sound of your thrust, your activity, your you is messing up all the currents of unbelief and doubt all around you. And it's commanding new people to come around you with means, power, influence, and money to serve into your new person. It's going to happen 2023. Write it down. Watch it happen. People with means, power, money, and influence are getting ready to drop into your life because they're going to sense it. They're going to feel it. And they're going to say, I can trust this joker right here. We're going to invest in them. Time's up. George, bring us home, baby. Curtis, before we do that, George, Curtis, give us a closing remark, man.
Hey, I just appreciate you guys. I appreciate opportunity to be on here. And you know, about a year ago, Robbie, I think you were asking me about what was my thought when I heard the word savage will. What was my thoughts? And my very first thought was urgency, and do it with not reckless, but a passionate desire. And I think that's what we've talked about here today, is to making it happen, is to get that sense of urgency and savagely go make it happen.
100%. Thank you, George. Yeah, I mean, Curtis, you're right, man. Now look, full circle, baby. We right back where we started, man. When we getting ready to concept this thing, I had to get this out. I've been talking about it, thinking about it for years. And you were one of the first people that ever talked to him. It's like, George, Curtis, what does that mean to you? Right? And you gave me some nuggets. George, bring us home, baby, because I met you after I talked to my brother right here from another mother. You know what I mean? And if it wasn't for me talking to my brother from another mother, I wouldn't have been able to hear what you had to say. So bring us home, baby.
Heck yeah, I love it. The way things piece together in your life, I don't believe in coincidences. It's awesome, man. So, guys, I just want to close on one thing. If you're not your own hero in 5 years, who is going to be, right? So get out there, define your goals, and start attacking them. Today's the day to make it happen. 2023 is the year to make it happen. Let's get after it. We appreciate you guys for listening. We love you guys. We want the best for you. We want you to grow. If you like something that you saw in the podcast, go ahead and drop a comment. Let us know what you like, and let us know how we can best move forward next week. We'll be here at 11:11 on the East Coast. We appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you next week. Appreciate it. Thanks,
We out.
Curtis, for joining us
Thank you,
today. We're
George.
out.
Appreciate it. Out.
Savage Will.